What's up, guys? Damon Tay here with PT Biz. Coming back again, Caffeine and Cash Practices, episode 5, I think. Today is very important. We're going to talk about not just why, but how you raise your prices. This is quite possibly the most bang for your buck that you're going to get from anything that I'm going to share with you. Because if you already have a practice, one of the biggest wins you can have is to be able to make more money without changing your overhead in any way, okay? So think about this. If you hire somebody, let's say another clinician, they can see people and generate revenue, but you have a cost to fulfill associated with that, which eventually most people are gonna wanna move to the point where they're hiring employees because there's passive revenue associated with that. But in this scenario, let's assume you are a single provider. Maybe you do have other people. If you can raise your prices, you have an increase in profit with no increase in expenses. Okay, that's a very rare thing to do in your business. You can cut costs in certain places, but for many of you, you're just undercharging. And what we've seen, and this is historical for maybe the last like 5 or 6 years, is that you really need to be at an average hourly visit rate, I should say, of $150 an hour in order to be able to scale past yourself and maintain low volume, okay? What we're seeing now, especially as things are getting more and more expensive and the cost of living is going up pretty much everywhere, is 150 really is baseline. You need your average visit rate to be somewhere closer to 175 to 200 to really put yourself in a good spot to be able to hire and grow. In order to get there, you're gonna be able to stair step your way up there by raising prices. And for a lot of people, they're charging too little, okay? I've seen people charge as little as like 60 bucks an hour. As a physical therapist with a doctorate to work with somebody, that's far less than what insurance would even reimburse you for. Even the worst insurance is probably gonna still be more than that. So we typically undervalue ourselves. So if you're gonna go from, let's call it, maybe you're at like $120 a visit, okay? You're just testing the waters, this is where you feel comfortable, but you know you gotta get up to 200. That's a big jump, right? So for some of you that sounds scary. You don't wanna do it. Well, you can stair step your way up there. And there's 2 ways you can do this, all right? I'm gonna talk about two strategies that you have, prices. And before we do that, let's talk real numbers in terms of how this is gonna affect you. Let's say that you are charging $120 a visit and you can get your average visit rate up to 200. That's $80 a visit different from what you're charging now to what you could be charging. If you are seeing 100 visits a month, that is $8,000 in the month that you're gonna make. That is an increase with no increase in overhead. That is $96,000 a year in pure profit that you are adding to your practice by actually charging what you're worth versus undercharging for, keep in mind, literally the same amount of work. So why would you not do it? A, maybe you feel bad. You feel like, yeah, people are exchanging their groceries to come in and work with you. That's bullshit. They're gonna choose groceries over you like 10 out of 10 times because they gotta eat. They're not doing that. This is your money mindset, telling you that people are, scarce with things and that they can't afford it, but they're not gonna go broke trying to work with you. People spend money on things they find value in, right? Number 2, you don't feel confident in being able to charge that. That's sales. You gotta improve your sales skill set in order to be able to charge what you're worth as well. So those areas you have to get past. And once you do that, you have 2 strategies. Number 1, you can do the silent price raise, what we call it. The undercover price raise. And this is where you literally just change your prices immediately, right? You could wait for Monday if you want, but you could just do it today. I did this one time with one of the first clients I ever worked with. And this was interesting because at the time I was doing all one-on-one work with the people I was working with. I only was working with like about 5 people at the time. I had a call with this clinician and he was charging $150 a visit at the time. And he was in a pretty expensive area. And I told him, I said, listen, dude, you need to be closer to 200. Like you need to raise your prices to 200. And he felt very uncomfortable. So we met in the middle at 175. And I said, listen, The next person that you talk to, and that day he had somebody that was doing an initial phone consultation with him to see if they were, going to be a good fit to come in as a client. And I said, look, you're going to tell them your new price as of today, as of right now, it's $175, not $150. And if they say no, they balk at that, then I will pay you $175. So I'll pay you the amount that you were going to make off of 1 hour of that person. And he said, all right, I'll take that. He called that person, they talked, he told them their prices, and on the phone, that person agreed to a 10-visit package at his $175 rate because he didn't even have any packages set up. He literally just said that's what it was, and that he had a 10-visit package, but it was the same amount, and the person agreed to it, and they came in, and they did an evaluation and bought it a couple days later. So it's funny, what we think is the limiter is usually our own self in terms of what we feel like we can charge and what we're worth. And as soon as you go through a price raise and you realize that people value what you do a lot more than what you value, yourself, then it's very easy to kind of step yourself up to where you need to be for your business. Because keep in mind, it's not just so you could make more money, it's so that you can actually build a real business and ideally employ other people. In order to do that, you got to be able to pay them and hopefully pay them well. So you need to be making enough revenue in order to make that work. So number one, you can do a silent price raise. Just raise your prices. Don't have to tell anybody. Your prior clients, when they come back in, all you have to do is say, hey, we're raising our prices. If you would like, this visit I'm seeing you for today is going to be at our previous price point, and I'll work with you through the rest of your plan of care, however many visits that is that you've agreed to at this price point. But if you decide you want to come back and work anything else, it'll be at our new price point. Or you can tell them that you're going to do a package for them because they're already working with you at your previous rate, and allow them to get a package before you raise your rate. Those are two options that you have as you go through that. But I really like the silent price raise. You announce it. You don't have to feel a lot of pressure around this. Like, the reality is people aren't checking your prices. You think people are hanging out on the internet just checking what you charge all the time? Like, dude, they got their own shit going on. They don't care. They probably don't even remember what you charge as well as you think that they do. So you doing a price raise can be very silent, can be very easy. You just got to do it. The second option, and this is something that I really recommend people do if they want to get a big bump in cash flow. Maybe you want to do that. Maybe you're hiring somebody. Maybe you're trying to expand to a standalone space and you want to get a big bump in your cash flow so that you can bankroll some of that, is you can do what we call a reactivation price raise. So with a reactivation price raise, this is where you reach out to your prior clients and you let them know that you're raising your prices. But because they have worked with you previously, you are going to let them have the opportunity to buy just one package at your previous rates. You say, hey, I'll let you buy a package at the previous rate, and then after that, we're going to raise our rates to where whatever it is you're going to be. But we appreciate you as a prior customer, and I want to give you an opportunity to buy a package, limit one. Don't let them buy more than one. It'll put a little bit of scarcity on it and probably increase the likelihood that they actually buy one. So you can reach out to people. I recommend that you do a direct email, one-to-one. Don't send a blast email out, especially if you have less than maybe 200 clients. Let's say you've worked with 100 people. You're going to be far better off emailing each of those people with some sort of individual component that is specific to them, right? And you have notes on all these people. You have an unfair advantage. You have their name. You have all the notes that you have. You've worked with them one-on-one for hours, right? You should be able to say, hey, how's your little poodle Fluffy doing? I know he had a little leg problem or something, like whatever was going on. Just checking in on him, right? How's your son's golf going? How's that triathlon that you were going to do? Make it specific to them. Give them something that resonates with them, because the is far higher when you do that versus if you just say, hey, we're raising our prices, click here if you want to talk to me about like getting a package before I raise my rates. That's generic. People know when they're being marketed to when you do things like that, versus if you're checking in on them, see how things are going. Hey, by the way, I just wanted to let you know we are raising our prices. We appreciate you as a customer. We'd love to give you an opportunity to buy a package of visits at our previous rate before we do so. If you would like to do that, please let me know. The price of our visits is going to go up at this point, and you don't have to tell them why. I think people are like, oh, I need to justify why I'm going to do it. Oh, I need to give them reasons. You don't have to give them shit for a reason why. You're doing it because it's the best thing to do for your business. That's why. And if anybody asks, you can say, hey, we're in preparation to grow, and expand and build into a bigger facility, we've got to increase our revenue so that we can do that, to hit the vision that we have for our company and ultimately help more people. And no one's going to balk at that, because that is actually what most people are doing with this, right? It's not necessarily, hey, I want to buy a BMW, so I want to raise my prices so that I could go get this, luxury car. People aren't going to like that as much, right? You got to paint the vision that you have, and ultimately you don't have to say anything. You just have to let them know what they're doing it, and you are giving them the opportunity to get your services at what is a undervalued rate, and they probably know that. The first time I raised my prices, I actually had a patient that asked me, or told me, he was like, man, I was wondering when you're going to do this, because he felt I was far undercharging, what I was charging, and just didn't want to tell me because he felt like it was a steal, right? And we only went from $175 to $195. That was our first price raise. It was $20, right? So it doesn't have to be a lot, but even like little jumps like that make a big difference. So you don't have to go straight from $150 to $200. You can go up, $20, $25, and step that up over the course of 6 to 12 months if you don't feel comfortable making that big jump. But if you do, you can go straight to $200 if that's what you want to do. Either way, you have two options. You go the silent route, sneak it in there, and it just changes. It's just as simple as that. You just decide, all right, cool, I'm charging this now. That's one of the beauties of this type of business model. You decide. Or you can do a reactivation campaign. And if you're going to do that, I highly recommend you individualize it to that person and you reach out to them, your email to their email, maybe text them if you have that kind of a relationship, and see if they're interested in getting a package before you raise your prices. Don't send a blast out through something like a MailChimp or whatever, because your open rate is going to be low, your response rate is going to be low in comparison to an individualized email. And if you have 100 people, it's going to take you a few hours, no doubt, to look that up. But the return you're going to get on that is going to be astronomically higher, because you're going to get a much higher conversion percentage than if you just send a blast email, which is the lazy way to do it. Like, that's not it, dude. Don't take the lazy route. Take the route that is not as automated, that other people are not willing to do, and you're going to get far more business out of that than if you just go the easy route and you make one email and you hit one button and everything gets blasted out. People can tell, all right? Take the slower path, the harder path, try harder, get more people in, do it the right way. Raise your prices if you're going to do it one of these two ways, but I highly recommend that if you are not averaging in most markets between $175 and $200 a visit, you need to look at this as a serious strategy you need to implement within your business relatively soon. Everything has gotten more expensive. You feel it, I feel it, everybody does. And for you to be able to compensate yourself and your employees at the way that they need for what their life dictates now, groceries, gas, all kinds of stuff, you need to make more money and you need to charge what you're worth, period. These are two ways to do it. Guys, I hope you like this one. I hope you got a lot out of it. If you're interested in learning more, head to physicaltherapybiz.com. You can check out what we're doing over there. Case studies of clients that we're working with, all kinds of free resources you can download in there. Our goal is just to help cash practice owners win, hybrid practice owners be able to have more cash within their business and not be as dependent on insurance companies, and ultimately allow you to work with patients the way that you deserve and that they deserve in a setting that's one-on-one with low volume and you not get burnt out. So if that sounds like what you're interested in, head to physicaltherapybiz.com. And as always, thanks so much for watching. We'll catch you next week.